Hi, my name is Jasmina Negrini, and I'm delighted to be back at the second Happy Cities, Happy Citizens Summit among such an amazing lineup of speakers. I had the pleasure of being a speaker last year, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be back this year. As a way of introduction, I'm based in London and have been working in the financial services industry for the past 20 years. Last year, I spoke about the importance of green spaces in cities for well-being of body and mind at a time when COVID pandemic had forced many governments into the difficult decision of national lockdowns, severely restricting movement and often allowing to go outdoors only for essential activities such as food and medicine shopping and exercise. I covered the importance of both physical exercise and mental fitness to unwind from the emotional stresses and how the green spaces around us, whether parks, gardens, allotments, or even balconies, very much offered that needed respite and opportunity to relax the mind and use natural clues for mindfulness. For example, by using our senses without our natural environment, observing a tree and its leaves, listening to the birds singing, and the sound of our footsteps on a carpet of leaves, especially at this time of year, or the wind blowing across the trees, smelling the air getting cooler and crisper, using touch and taste when foraging in urban spaces. While all of this is still relevant, and the pandemic has definitely continued to reiterate the need to connect with nature and to have green spaces as a critical part of our urban landscapes, I wanted this year to spend some time on a different human need that is not quite as an essential necessity, but that also is connected to our mental well-being and very much relevant to city living, as that is where we most often fulfill it, and that is what we refer to arts and culture. With arts and culture, I mean all forms of arts, visual, performing, or literary arts, as an expression of heritage and values, and as an appreciation of diversity. The physical access to arts has been very much impaired, the same as anything else during this pandemic, and we've really been starved of it. And I would like to cover some reflection on the following aspects. Firstly, how the consumption of arts has changed through the pandemic. Secondly, do we believe that cities are still relevant for art and as hubs for all forms of art? Thirdly, as we talk about hybrid models in our future ways of life, for example, by splitting our work between home and office, is this something that we can apply to the way that we will be looking to fulfill our need for arts and more broadly for intellectual stimulation? On the first point, how the pandemic has changed the way we enjoy arts, definitely it has. We've learned to appreciate the arts through virtual means. And this has very much happened in quite a revolutionary and previously unthinkable way. If we thought enjoying a gallery or an exhibition would come with traveling and socializing, we have learned to do that from our couch, whether self-guided or on a virtual tour, alone or with friends experiencing it from their own couch at the same time. Some have been experiences never thought of before, like being on a virtual tour of the Egyptian Museum in Turin, led by its director while sitting in London, or attending a ballet premiere, possible through sharing archive shows that were never meant to be for the general public, for example, by the English National Ballet. There is one form, though, that we were already quite acquainted with, and that we can certainly provide some references, and that is film, which we have learned to appreciate as the experience of going to the cinema to watch the latest screening or even a premiere, as well as enjoying it from recreating that same experience in the familiar space of our home. On the second point, are cities still relevant for arts and as hubs for all forms of arts? My opinion is cities still are and will most certainly remain where we mostly consume and enjoy all forms of arts. Cities bring us closer to arts and culture. Theatres, museums, and other cultural venues provide the setting for us to enjoy the arts. Cities have created spaces for open-air consumption of arts, which provided very useful during the pandemic, and museums and galleries have found ways to organize visits with health and safety measures in place as soon as it was allowed during the pandemic. Cities remain central points for arts and culture, and this year very specifically city breaks, which is something that we typically tend to enjoy in less warmer months, like seasons like in spring and in autumn, have proved very, very popular over the summer period. On the third point, how will the pandemic change the way that we will be enjoying culture long term? My observation is that COVID has affected us in all aspects of our lives. It has hit us fast and hard and changed how we go about our life tremendously. Nevertheless, there are new habits that have emerged, which have had consequences for the better and opened up new opportunities. Online options make access simpler for people who have mobility issues. Many online events are free, therefore reaching a wider range of public that may have previously not been able to afford the cost. And they permit to travel, at least in our minds, to faraway places without leaving our home. The future model, in my opinion, will be hybrid, as the in-person experience is different and takes into account moving physically to reach the destination, whether it's seen as a hindrance and a burden or a time to look forward to mentally prepare for the experience. In conclusion, and while we discuss the how and the where, I also wanted to consider the who. Who we enjoy arts with and what type of connection with others it spikes through debate and exchange is an integral part of the experience. As all experiences that are shared, they are better in person, though as the pandemic is still with us and safety is still a concern with people more or less ready to attend in person, the current hybrid, which combines online and small in-person groups by reservation only, offers, in my opinion, the best transitional option as we navigate our way out of the pandemic. As self-care includes caring for your health and spending time on activities you enjoy, creative and intellectual engagement that provide fulfillment and stimulation are an essential part of maintaining energy levels and resilience to stress. Looking after yourself is not a luxury, and when we become engrossed in an activity that we really enjoy and are passionate about, we can lose all sense of time. We might suddenly realize that hours have passed when it felt like mere minutes. This is called flow. Flow can be very soothing when dealing with stress, and it gives a time out from the strong or overwhelming emotions we might be feeling. After periods of flow, people tend to feel a sense of achievement and satisfaction, which can welcome positive feelings during a time of crisis. Thank you very much.